When I tested the Princess V48 back at the end of the summer, I had a couple of complaints about the way the boat rode and the levels of refinement. Since then, Princess have made some changes to the boat to try and address these issues. What they've done is they have moved the water tank forward and lower in the boat to try and get the hull lower in the water at the bow and getting the sharpest part piercing through the water as it should do. They have also replaced parts of the dash. It was a three-piece arrangement before, a few squeaks and rattles coming from there, so they've now put a single piece in. And what I think the most significant change is they have replaced the Volvo Interceptor blades with traditional Bennett trim tabs. So what's it like to drive the V48 Open? Very similar to the V48 Deck Saloon is what I imagine you're thinking, but actually there are some differences. Although they share exactly the same engines, IPS 600 twin 435 horsepower, same hull, same internals pretty much, the driving experience is slightly different, especially at the upper end. I think it could be to do with the fact that you've got no doors on the back, therefore you can hear the rush of the water. Could be to do with the fact that the boat's slightly lighter, there's less weight up high, but it just feels a little bit more lithe than its Deck Saloon sibling. And it's very agile, it's very good fun to drive indeed, in fact. Much like the Deck Saloon version, it seems to react quite well to a little bit of trim tab. We've got half down here, and that seems to really dig the bow in to the water, and it starts to plough a nice furrow through, and you can make nice grippy sweeping turns. But what I really like is the fact that when you're doing all this, and when we were playing around in the wake during the photo shoot, the boat never tries to bite you whatsoever. I mean, you'd have to do something really, really stupid to get this boat to misbehave. Full lock, high speed turns, absolutely nothing happens. It leans over nicely and goes through the corner, as you'd imagine. The driving environment is excellent on board this boat. I really like the helm position. Everything falls to hand very easily, everything's close, and you can sit back in your seat, which is adjustable, and sit very comfortably. You can tell that winter's setting in because we are filming our boat test videos in the pitch black. But the reason we've done it is because we've had the opportunity to come down and test the Princess V48 Open. It's a very different boat to the V48 Deck Saloon it's based on, so let's have a look around and see exactly where those differences lie. One of the most significant changes over the Deck Saloon version of the V48 is the fact that on the Open you get a proper tender garage. On the Deck Saloon version, you have to keep your tender on a high-low bathing platform, which probably hasn't got the sort of weight limit which this tender carriage has got. So that means that you can get an oh so desirable Williams jet tender in there. It's big enough for a 285. And of course, the fact that you have a tender garage also means that you get a lovely big slice of sun pad, which is always there. You don't have to convert it from a dinette, so when the sun does shine, you can hop straight on and start catching some rays. Moving forward in the cockpit, and it's sports cruiser of old. That's what it feels like on here. Traditional sports cruiser layout with this run of seating here, big table which also drops down and makes yet another sun pad, not forgetting that you've also got sun pad cushions on the bow. And then opposite there you have cockpit griddle, sink, top loading little icebox here, all the usual stuff, but it really is back to tradition here. Apart from the fact that it is called an open boat, you actually have a soft folding sunroof here, which is really, really good because the aperture is absolutely enormous, and when that's open, the fact you've got no doors here like the Deck Saloon version means it does genuinely feel completely open, and all you've got is this little section here that's covering it up. Part and parcel of the V48 Open is this completely redesigned dashboard. On the Deck Saloon version, you have a sort of floating helm and then a completely open dash which looks down to the galley here. On this boat, with this door shut, obviously it's completely insulated, and where you get a bit of an echo chamber effect with the waves hitting the hull, sort of echoing around this section down here on the Deck Saloon version, there's none of that here. So in fact, when going along, apart from the sound of the engines and the rush of the water behind you, it's actually very quiet and a refined boat to cruise on. Anyone who's been on the regular V48 will be very familiar with this interior. It's pretty much exactly the same, apart from the fact that you enter the master cabin on the other side of the companionway stairs. Down here you have the dinette, which can be had as a third cabin if you want, but I would suggest on this boat where that would leave your only other seating area being up in the cockpit, probably not the best option. It's going to feel pretty cramped down here as well with a bulkhead here. And this table folds down anyway and infills, so you have a on and off berth if you want it. The other thing worth looking at, again, is the master cabin, because it's very good, and it's part and parcel of the reason that Princess chose IPS, so that they could deliver this amazing accommodation on a boat of this size. Let's go down and have a look. This cabin is what this boat is all about. It's the reason that Princess built their first ever IPS boat, so that they could offer on a boat of this size this incredible master cabin. Full beam, huge windows either side, pretty much full standing headroom all the way around the bed. And honestly, you know, a few years ago you couldn't have dreamt of having a boat this long with a cabin like this on board. All the normal things are here. We've got a nice big bed, easy to walk around, drawer storage on the opposite side, one big hanging locker, and then of course a suitably nice ensuite as well. On the face of it, you think there's very little difference between the open version of the V48 and its deck saloon sibling, but actually the differences are vast, and they completely change the way you'd use a boat. I mean, most of you says in this climate, why would you not want the deck saloon version? Shut the doors and you have this lovely plush upper saloon, you don't have to wrestle with any canopies or anything like this. But driving this boat, it just feels that bit more engaging. You feel that much more in contact with the water. And on that one day that the weather is absolutely beautiful, maybe 2 days if you're lucky, you will really be pleased that you chose this boat, because it's just so ready to soak up the sun. It's a tough decision, but it's a nice problem to have, really.